I talked about Winx once before, and that time we talked about Fate, the Winx saga, and how bad the styling was in that show. The styling is still bad. It seems like it's not going to improve. That's sad. There's not much we can do about this. We can just only hope that someday there will be a satisfying remake of the show that would actually include styling that we all want to see. Regardless of that, I wanted to kind of challenge myself, suggest a few things when it comes to transformations, because the thing is, in the previous video I said that I would like transformations to exist in the show. I would like them to try and make them look good and not kitschy or costumey. It would require some CGI, obviously, especially when it comes to the transformation sequences and especially the powers, but they already have those in the show, the powers I mean. Basically, I'm here to suggest a few things. Show what I mean by saying that I want to see transformations in real life being done in live action. I do think that it's a hard thing to do well. I would say that just doing one thing wrong is going to make something look kind of lame. It's really easy to step in the wrong direction. It's really easy to decide on a wrong thing. It would require a lot of strong, well-developed collaboration between multiple departments. I mean, it happens all the time on movie sets. It's obviously everyone's supposed to be working together, but there are definitely some things in live actions that require such heavy costuming and CGI work afterwards in post-production that would require a lot of really good planning, okay? Really strong players would have to be in charge of that. And not only that, but you would have to have at least a little bit of creativity, which by seeing the adaptation, I can tell you that unfortunately anyone who is in charge of the show right now is really phoning it in. They are not putting even an ounce of creativity into it, or they're just that bad at reading what the vibe is supposed to be. I don't know. In any case, before we start specific transformations and whatever, I just want to tell you that in terms of structure, we're gonna cover Magic Winx transformation and Enchantix transformation. I am not a fan of the later seasons. It's not that I hate season 4, for example, or something like that, but even as a child, I was already kind of not into it. Not because I was out of the age demographic or something, but because, I don't know, it just felt a little bit contrived, it felt a little bit flat, and most of all, I think that there are a lot of issues with the writing and with the decisions that the writers were making. It's not a good idea to let them graduate but then bring them back as teachers, but then bring them back as students, and then I don't know which season that is, like maybe 7th or 8th or something. They literally make them look like children and they are going back, and like it's not even part of the plot that they are like going back in time or something. No, it's just they look 12 and they're 12 or something all of a sudden. It's basically, the franchise is a mess. It all kind of fell apart after season, mostly because it wasn't supposed to go past season 3, and I think that that's kind of what happened basically. It's just the story wasn't created to last that long. Today we're going to cover the 2 transformations that happened in the 3 seasons, the first 3 seasons. I know that there's also Charmix, but Charmix is just a couple of accessories. It doesn't count like a whole thing, you know. Also have a few things to keep in mind for the rest of the video. Camera work. Definitely whenever the girls would be transformed, there would be a different filter on the camera. I would prefer that there would be a filter that kind of creates sparkles whenever the light hits right with the lens. There are filters like that where you just screw it on, and I don't mean filters that are digital, I mean filters that are physical on the camera, where they film everything in a crisp quality, but they add a lot more sparkle, and they just basically, the light hits the lens different. For some of the sequences it would be nice to film it with a bit of a blur effect, so keep that in mind too, because I would definitely want to have a difference, like a visual difference in terms of filming when they are transformed and when they're on screen being transformed and when they are in their regular clothes, because I think that it would make sense that fairies who are parts of this like enchanting world of magic or whatever, that whenever they are transforming or they are in their clothes like it's already transformed, that the world around them would be a little bit more sparkly and prettier, okay? Another thing, the way that I would address what's happening when the girls are transforming, do the villains just wait or whatever it is, I would address it as this is a dimension that only fairies can enter and time runs on a different plane there. It would kind of suggest that villains, to them it's just a moment, like they don't actually see the transformation, and also I think that it would would create a bit of an interesting plot line if one of the fairies were to turn and they would actually have access to that dimension. Let's start with Tecna. Why? Just because, I don't know, I started with her when I was styling, and we're gonna start with her Magic Winx. She has quite an interesting Magic Winx outfit. It's probably the most unique out of all the characters in terms of uniqueness to compare to the other characters. There's not a lot of similarities to the other outfits. Even in terms of the wings, I would say that she's probably the one that has the most unique set of wings that don't have a lot in common with the other ones, mostly because they are kind of technology based or technology driven or created with technology. In any case, it just looks like technology one way or not. Also, her helmet, I would probably not go with this helmet, but I am on the fence about that one. Let me know how you feel about it, whether you feel like it's super iconic and it needs to be included in the live action, or if you think it's gonna actually look silly in the live action, because what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to recreate it exactly. It's very similar. What I'm going for is very similar to what is in the cartoon, but things that don't work in the real world that would look silly, I kind of replace them with something, or I try to make it look way more magical in the real world sense, so it doesn't look stupid. And honestly, her outfit is just so unique. I really like it. I like the colors and everything. And one thing that they all share is that their outfits are sparkly. At least a part of it is definitely going to be sparkly, and it's the same for Tecna. So for her shoes, I've picked something like this. I mean, this would work really well, this type, because she is wearing light blue ones, not purple, but that would depend on the rest of the outfit that would work together. I love these shoes. I think they would be fantastic for her. They are a bit dangerous to walk in, mostly because not of even the platforms at the bottom as much as the stiletto that seems to be the main foot holder construction in it. You can definitely tell in this image that the shoe inside of it is basically a stiletto, which I don't think it's a good idea. I would probably go with something else. Maybe it's a strap-on thing. Maybe it straps onto something. So I would basically just try and figure out a way to make it a little bit more comfortable, because platforms are okay to film in or to even like do some stunts in if you are careful, if you know what you're doing. You can just go through a day of filming without wanting to cry. But stilettos, that's a different conversation. So I would definitely try and figure that out, because for example, I have also found these, and I don't mean this color, and even the shape is a little bit too much like a stiletto obviously, but I did pick this to show that her bodysuit could be done in this way, where it would be this sparkly, you know. It's all possible. It's not a dream or just a thing that only exists in magical world. We can actually have an outfit that's super sparkly, and also with all the use of filters that would enhance the sparkliness in the filming that I mentioned before we started the styling portion, it would look fantastic. It would genuinely look magical and beautiful. Winx, like, their outfits are not supposed to be super functional because they're not soldiers in real world. They're not whoever else you want to compare them to. They are literally fairies. They fly around. They don't actually need that functionality. It needs to be pretty, but I do care about the comfort of hypothetical actors, you know, because some outfits are a little bit extreme. For example, I really like this sparkliness. Obviously the head part wouldn't be there because I don't know, I just feel like it would be a little bit too difficult. I'm gonna show you what I would do instead. Maybe you won't agree, but I'm kind of on the fence on it, so I might agree with you if you're disagreeing with me on this one. But this is kind of like what I would go for, this type of really dense material that's really sparkly. Some of them are kind of see-through, so for those ones that are see-through, it would be really cool to have a bodysuit that's purple under it. Don't look at the mask. I'm just gonna slide down so you don't get distracted by it. But having like a full bodysuit like this, like a sparkly part with the shoes and everything, it would look very much like Tecna. Okay, so with CGI, you know, when there's something that's lit up around people that you have to create digitally, you have to obviously think about the light, you know, the way that it interacts with everything. And to be honest, it's a lot of work to not only place the object in the footage, but also make make sure that all the shadows and all the lights are working properly. And usually that's what, in my opinion, at least like from what kind of takes me out of the experience, usually that's what takes people out of the experience when they're watching something and they see that the light is a little bit off, or the light feels like it's been placed in post instead of it being natural in the environment. So what I would do is I would probably, even though it's not gonna look great in the raw footage, it's not gonna look too bad, but it's not gonna look great, having an LED thicker light, not like this one is a little bit too thin, but I would use a thick tube of LED light to create the shape wings. It's easier to touch up something and make it look cooler in post in terms of like just not looking like LED tube, but the light would be very natural and the light would look really cool. It would look like it belongs in the scene. Just pick the green one and I would just place it there so everything around her looks like it belongs there already. It would save a lot of time in terms of CGI, and it also would just make everything look more real. Like, I'm telling you, this would do wonders, honestly. The light bouncing off of all of the little sparkles that are in her outfit without having to place that light there would be life-changing for everybody. That's the Magic Winx outfit. Let's go to her Enchantix. Oh my god, we're at 20 minutes already and I'm only done with Tecna's Magic Winx. Get a snack. Stop the video, get a snack. This is gonna be a while. The Enchantix is gonna be always the more difficult one out of the two, because most of the outfits that are for Magic Winx, I'm gonna tell you right away, they're basically just Versace outfits, just Versace dresses or like two pieces. I don't mean like exact replicas, but the way that the material looks, you could replicate it by just getting some Versace. If you don't have that much money, which I think that their budget was pretty good, so they probably had quite a bit of money, but if you don't have that, you could do custom and just get really pretty materials and you'll be fine, honestly. As well as all of the stuff that I was talking about with filters and stuff like that, it's going to aid the look to look magical rather than just sparkly, right? Also, I'm gonna take this off because it keeps making a lot of noise and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be annoying for you guys, but I'm gonna show it to you because it's cute as hell and I want you to see it. I have this butterfly, right? But I also have this butterflies. Look at them, there's so many of them. It's supposed to be an anklet, okay? And I wore it as a bracelet. It just makes too much noise, I can't. This is Tecna in her Enchantix look. First of all, that's such a big difference between her Magic Winx and her Enchantix look. Her Enchantix look, it looks more similar to the other girls' Enchantix. Like, for example, her wings look more like the wings of everybody else. I don't mean that they're similar wings because they're very different in design, but in terms of the nature of them, like it looks like wings rather than some kind of electronic version of it. Her hair is longer. This is such a small image, but whatever. And she's got gloves. By the way, we gotta talk about gloves because this is a whole other thing. I cannot. Anyway, so let me show you the main piece, right? So I thought that something like this would look fantastic for her. Doesn't it look like her outfit in terms of just the geometric qualities of it all? I think that it would look absolutely fantastic for Tecna. Doing like folding, geometric folding out of something, some materials that are very airy, this type of thing. I think that it would just look fantastic for her to have some kind of bendy, bright geometric shapes in her outfit. We gotta talk about them gloves. Honestly, it's so difficult to find pretty pictures of gloves for some reason, and especially gloves that I was looking for specifically, because I wasn't looking for really thick ones. There's some pictures that are good of like thick gloves or short gloves. I was looking for really long opera gloves, not the ones that end right here, but the ones that end over here, right? It's a big difference, and for some reason it's so difficult to find something that looks good, especially in tulle material with sparkles in it. It's ridiculous how hard it is, but basically, obviously I found this Disney gloves because I'm pretty sure you have seen it somewhere, maybe on Kennedy Walsh, maybe on somebody else who's worn it on Instagram or TikTok. But these gloves, they're not ideal because they're quite short, but this is the closest I could find in real life, and I think that it's not that difficult to make custom, so I think that I would probably go with custom because gloves are a big part of the look. I think that it just does a lot for the Enchantix look, to be honest, and I think that it's too iconic to mess it up in any kind of way, you know, so I would definitely go with a different type of custom look. So just keep that in mind, that gloves are definitely for everyone. They need to be there, they need to be the right color, and they need to be sparkly and beautiful. Next, she's definitely gonna have to have this type of hair hair, I would definitely go brighter color. It's not gonna be this pastel kind of color. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that instead of a helmet, I would probably do something like this for her. Maybe not the cheek part, but definitely the glasses. I feel like that would be maybe an interesting way to go about it that would look good in real life instead of going for that helmet that kind of looks like Egghead's movie.
Ah! What have you done to your comb?
Nothing.
Is it Eggheads? Probably is, yeah. I was gonna make a video about that movie because it's just like a fever dream from my childhood, you know, and it's so weird. Anyway, the next thing is the wings. I'm going to flesh out the idea of the wings and the way that I would want to address them and make them as we go along. I don't want to just keep talking, you know, about Tecna, but this is kind of just an example of what type of thing I would create combined with maybe a different, obviously it would have to be different shape. This seems to be more like Tecna's shape, but the fact of the matter is, for the sake of cutting down on time, I would first of all get really pretty real wings and then touch them up in post with CGI and stuff like that, especially for when they're supposed to be moving. But you know what, in animation they don't move their wings that much, even in animation, especially in Enchantix. They oftentimes just hover with their wings just behind them. I would focus on making them look pretty. As we go along, I'm going to show you better versions of the wings just to kind of show you that even in real life without post-production it can look pretty good, and then with the post-production being done it's gonna look fantastic, obviously. And also don't forget the filters and everything would also give a little bit of this airy kind of quality to it. And for their shoes, a lot of the times they have this tangled up kind of thingy going on. They're basically walking around barefoot. I wouldn't want to do that to the actresses, to be honest, because first of all it's not really comfortable, but second of all it's not gonna look good for their body proportions. No matter what kind of body type it is, it's not gonna look flattering if you have wings that have this weird body proportions, right? If you compare that Enchantix to the real version and they're just standing like with their bare feet, it's just not gonna look good because the top is gonna have too much going on in terms of heaviness to compare to the bottom, and the wings are gonna be too big and take up too much space at the bottom half where the legs are gonna look shorter. It doesn't matter. You can be you could be a supermodel and that wouldn't look good on you. It would kind of look meh. Kind of have to adjust it a little bit, and by adjust it I mean going for this type of thing. This is Blue Marine 2021. A lot of those shoelaces or just lace up shoes I don't know what to call them, but basically going all the way up to the skirt would be a lot better than going just up to the knee. When you look at the drawing of wings, they're just from the knees to the bottom of their feet, the proportions, it already looks like it's past the knee in terms of how high the boots are. Like if you think of Stella and her regular wings transformation, you immediately think, oh, Stella has really long boots that go all the way up to her somewhere mid thigh. That's what it looks like visually, optically, if you don't pay attention to where the knee is drawn and you just pay attention to how long the boot is. So I think that you have to adjust that to make sure that it looks visually pleasing and visually helps the outfit to look more balanced rather than just following the drawing of the original, because the original proportions of the girls are not. I would definitely go for this type of thing instead of just going up to the knee with some shoelaces or whatever. And in all of the drawings of Enchantix, all of the moments in the show, there's only a few where they're stepping on their actual feet. Most of the time they are up in the air and it looks like they're wearing heels because their foot is like all the way extended. I'm telling you, it would be such a big difference. The makeup, obviously some purple, some glitter, some green here and there too. I would also go for maybe some accessories like this, not the nails themselves, but the kind of accessory art that's going on here, like the molten kind of metal look. I think that would be cool for Tecna. And also she has a choker going on, and for the choker I would actually go with flexible RGB LED matrix. If you've been in art programs that are learning about how to do installation art or something like that, you probably heard of Arduinos. And Arduinos is just like a bunch of building blocks for you to connect and use light programming, not really difficult one to compare to, you know, doing it from scratch or something, and build sets that react to, for example, or whatever. And one of the things is that there are building blocks that are matrices, so they can show some kind of information that you program to show. You know, it could be letters, it could be some kind of pattern or whatever it is. And I think that it would be really cool to have something like this as her choker that would have some green letters, or it would light up when she's using her powers or something like that. Something that is more engaged and more light driven rather than just like a regular choker. It would just be something more interesting and expanding on Tecna's outfit in a way that is faithful to the original but also adds something more to it. So Flora, Magic Winx. First of all, who didn't love Flora when we were little? Who didn't?
From another magic school. Whoa, what are you made of? Gumdrops and sugar plum pie?
Hey, don't diss my girl, Flora.
Her outfit was just so elegant and she was always just so cute. Ugh, her skirt looks like two petals of a, I don't know, a tulip or something. And she's got this cute shoes, and everyone who loved pink loved her outfit too. The choker looked absolutely gorgeous. Loved everything about it. For her, obviously we would have to have some boots like this. I wanted to pick the Versace ones, but there's just a bit of an issue with the color. It's like not the right color, it's a bit more purple. Just imagine this type of cut go-go boots. Obviously that's literally what she's wearing. We're just going with the same thing that she's wearing in the cartoon. Having this type of material, this is again a Versace dress. How many times am I gonna be talking about Versace today? A lot. I'm gonna tell you a lot, honestly, because it seems like they've been quite inspired by Versace. Some of the designers that worked on their outfits were actual clothes designers, and I know that they worked for some of them worked for Prada. I'm not entirely sure if anyone of them worked for Versace, but a lot of these looks are very Versace inspired in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think the same. But this type of material, like, it already looks magical, and this is just life. Like, for example, this is just a picture of a dress that exists, and it looks like the material that would look fantastic for any of the Winx girls, right? It's kind of very sparkly, but it's not like a bunch of rhinestones or something, you know. It looks better. That's what I would go for. Also, I've put this here to just show that it's possible to do like petal looking things, but obviously it wouldn't be this shape because this is like a tutu skirt. Is that what they're called? Like the ballet skirt situation? I don't know. In any case, I'm just saying that I would definitely do it in the shape that of like a tulip, you know, petal, the front, the back. Also, it is possible to do something like this for the corset, for example. A corset could be in this type of shape or form, you know, not this color, obviously, it wouldn't be white. For the flower choker, there are a couple of options like this, but I don't really enjoy them that much. I would probably do it custom, just make it myself, something that is a little bit prettier than this. And also, of course, the wings, this one's have the right shape. They're a little bit too high up. I think they need to be a little bit lower for Flora, because this ones would reach like all the way up behind, like they would be kind of like here, and I think they need to be a little bit lower on her back. But this would be a fantastic canvas to CGI anything you want to on top of. It already exists there, it already moves with the person. If you want to, you can even have little motion tags that would make it so much easier if you want to do it you know, the 3D way. Whatever you want, there is a way to aid the process and make it easier and make it less expensive, so why not do that, right? Next, we've got Enchantix of Flora. Oh my goodness, Flora's Enchantix. Even if Flora wasn't your favorite, her Enchantix was still so impressive to you as a child, you know? Do you remember how much you just loved her outfit and her hair? Her hair literally grew to her feet. And I mean, all of their hair is quite long. I'm pretty sure that all of them have it down to their feet or something like that in Enchantix, except for Tecna. Maybe it's a little shorter for the other girls, but her wings are also massive, absolutely massive when it's her Enchantix transformation. Look at the gloves. Obviously would have to be tulle with some sparkle, or maybe just that sparkly material that we talked about for the dresses. It could be just in a lighter color or something like that, or a bit of a, I don't know, it could be that material instead. Oh, this, god, Enchantix is just so well done. I just love Enchantix so much. It's such a good transformation. Magic Winx is iconic, but Enchantix is just S tier. It's probably like the only thing. No one can top that type of transformation, okay, in any show ever. I'm sorry. So having something that has an empire waist with something pink would be nice. Having a little bit more sparkle like this on top of it, or in terms of the color, to just kind of make it look a little bit more, I guess a little bit less highlighter-esque and a little bit more pinky and gentle in color. But you can still go quite dark with the colors because Enchantix is quite bright anyway. With this shoes, it's the same thing, the same collection I believe as the one that I showed you for Tecna, except these ones are green. They don't look green here because they are with the yellow dress, but if you look at the bottom you can definitely tell that this is the green color. That's why I included it here, even though it looks yellow from afar. And her little leg shoelaces are green in the original. Also having wings like this, you'd think that this is just me finding something photoshopped or something illustrated. No, these are real wings that have been done before. If you remember, Victoria's Secret also had a lot of wings that were real and done pretty well, except they were filmed in a really unflattering manner, because in unflattering manner I mean that it made it look less real in terms of being wings, but still this type of massive wings would be perfect for Flora. I would probably go with a bit of a different color combination, maybe more green in it and less blue. Having a bit of this type of sparkle, also the materials, the way that the dress would be done using this type of draping would be fantastic. It would look like roses or some other flowers. It would be perfect for Flora. Something like this too. It looks just like her transformation dress. It looks really pretty. It would look fantastic. Obviously the colors are not exactly the same, but the shape. Also having something like this instead of the green ones would be still really beautiful. Having some flowers on the lacing. There could be a few flowers in the hair. And also I wanted to also talk about this collection. It literally just came out. This is 2022 collection. Dresses are fantastic. Like, I'm gonna zoom in all the way in. Look at this. Isn't that crazy? Like, it looks so beautiful and it would look fantastic for a Winx Enchantix transformation dress. And see, it's all possible. It's just people are not trying to make it look magical. They want everything to look drab and boring, and they want everything to look like the Vampire Diaries, which is like the Vampire Diaries. It's like it fits that aesthetic because it's the Vampire Diaries, you know? You can't just keep on making the Vampire Diaries over and over and over and over again. It's boring. Do something new. Next, Stella. Stella is my girl. Listen, I absolutely adore her. Her Magic Wings outfit. I love orange so much, okay? And I love yellow so much. So of course I'm here for it. Also, notice that I'm wearing purple eyeshadow and I'm wearing orange because so this is her Magic Wings. Her wings in Magic Wings have like 3, I believe, little like parts of the wing on each side. She's got 2 ponytails. It's orange. She has go-go boots. Obviously, as I've said before, the go-go boots right here, right, looks like they're quite, like they're insanely long. But then when you look at the entirety of her, you're like, oh, well, they're not that long. So I would kind of just go with whatever looks best. And I think that going with higher boots would look best on anybody. It just would make you look taller and would just look better with the rest of the outfit. So first of all, these are the wings that I picked for her, and also once again these are wings without the CGI. This is just real stuff that people have made with, I don't know if you've seen the holographic papers, like the ones that kind of like change. They're not papers, they're like plastic sheets. You can basically make these wings yourself, you know. It's obviously this person who's been working on it for a while from Fancy Fairy. They are obviously better than anybody at that, I would assume. At least they're quite up there. And obviously if you do it yourself at home, it's not gonna look like this, but it's still all possible. It could be purchased, it could be, you know, you can hire somebody to do these things, and they had money to do it, so why didn't they? Also, I picked these boots. These are Dior boots. I picked them because there's also gonna be a bit of a connection in terms of aesthetic choices with Musa as well, because as I said, I want them to be long boots and I want them to still have this kind of vibe as the the lineup of all 6 of them have when they're in their Winx transformation, because they have a lot of things in common. It's just like a variation on those things. For example, they're all kind of wearing things that look kind of like go-go boots, you know? Some of them are shorter, some of them are longer, but they all look like go-go boots. That's why I picked these ones, and in the future when we're going to be talking about Musa, you're going to understand why. Also, this material, obviously, once again, we're here in the Versace world, because why wouldn't we be? This material would be perfect for Stella's outfit, but I would drape the top the way that it's done right here. It's also a Versace dress, but just like imagine the top. Wouldn't it be perfect for Stella, like in that sparkly material? That would be so great. She also has some metallic-y accessories on her, like on her arms, and she has a headband that also looks like it's, I'm assuming that it's metal. It's kind of colored blue in the show, but I'm assuming that it's metal. It might not be. Let me know if you think that it isn't metal, but for me, I thought it was something metallic. And also having some low ponytails that are really long, like this, for example, Jenny look. Obviously, her hair is dark, but imagine it in blonde. Would be great. Enchantix, come on. This is already 51 minutes, god damn it. Oh, I love Stella's Enchantix so much. Oh my goodness, the gloves are just a dream, and the hair too. I love the way that they've done her hair. It's also so goddamn long. This is kind of like every little girl's dream, you know, super long hair, big sparkly bright wings, tiaras and everything, and then having so much power that you can blow something up. Oh, perfect. This is just fantastic. God, I love Winx so much. This is such a good show for kids. Also, this moment, gotta show you this, obviously. This is like one of the few times when they're just standing on their feet and still, see, she's still drawn in a way where she's still standing on her tippy toes. So, the hair, I would do something like this for her. Maybe even longer, have some extensions in, whatever. Not necessary, like 100% necessary, but could be cool to do it anyway. This is, again, we're in the Versace world. I would definitely change the straps, but in terms of coloring, I think that this could work. I also just like the way that this skirt is draped, like the way that it's kind of going through here, and also like that there's some, you know, some pink and orange in it as well, which is also the Enchantix colors for Stella. I would definitely not go for a long skirt, but I mean, you could go for it. You can experiment if you want to, especially with the fact that Enchantix is so like epic looking, and you would still have to have really long hair. You could do a long skirt if you want to, but I think that it's just more appropriate to have short skirts just because they all usually had them. I also think that something like this type of belt would be fantastic. Maybe not in this exact coloring, but it would be nice to have some kind of belt incorporated. I've also used this to show that the top could be done in this way as well, not just the one that I showed previously. This is for her wings. These wings are definitely a little bit too red for Stella. I would go for something that is incorporating a little bit of blue at the base, changes into orange at the edges, the way that it is in the original. But all of these wings are just approximations. I'm just showing you that it's possible to make these things in real life even before CGI, and then CGI things to make it look absolutely fantastic. But it is possible to do in the first place, you know. I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions of like how difficult, I mean, it is difficult to do, but it is possible, and it's not any more difficult than other things that people do for movies or shows, you know. Having something like this top with a lot of embellishments would be interesting on some tops, because I'm just suggesting things here, you know. Obviously I'm not telling you that this is the specific top that she's gonna wear. Also, she needs to obviously have a tiara, this kind of small one at the top of her head, because she is one of the 2 girls that are princesses. I mean, Bloom is also a princess, but at least in the first few seasons she wasn't really referred to as such, you know. Also, having this type of makeup, having some stars, some glitter, it just looks perfect, I think, for her. And once again, some strappy shoes that would mimic the ones that are in the show. I'm losing my voice, and we're just halfway through. Bloom, obviously, first of all, God, I hate that they gave her so much red in the show, in the live action, because she already has red hair. You don't need to put her in red clothes as well, and her powers are orange red driven. It's too much of the same color. You need to add something else, and I feel like baby blue fits Bloom's personality so well. It's just like an interesting choice instead of just putting her in red or orange and just calling it a day, right? So of course we got some Versace go-go boots because this one perfectly matched in terms of the color, because the other ones that I used one for Aisha. In the future we're gonna talk about that, but obviously some go-go boots. Obviously again Versace, again this type of material for her costume, like for her the main body of her transformation. It could be something like this too, but this is a little bit it's relying too much on individual sparkles instead of the material having that sheen that I've showed you in many of the Versace outfits. So these wings are perfect for her. They look almost like identical to what her wings are in the show. They look really pretty, and this is again without even CGI being added to it. This is just to show the sleeves being separate or whatever. Don't look at it as an actual like material or anything like that I would suggest. So this shape is basically what she's wearing. Just do this outfit in that other blue Versace material and it's perfect. Having a medallion like this or a locket like this in the middle would be perfect for her too, because she has one of those. And also I thought that it would be interesting to maybe, instead of just having like cut off sleeves, having something like this to incorporate it in it would be interesting as well. It has the same type of vibe but also a bit of a variation on it, you know. Enchantix for Bloom. So her Enchantix also really pretty. All of their outfits are fantastic for the Enchantix transformation, and definitely big blue wings would be perfect. I definitely would do, you know, custom stuff. It's just like recreating what it is in the show in the real life, but I'm just showing you that again, this big blue pretty wings are possible. Having this type of dress inside, because her structure of her dress is really interesting, because here you can see that it's kind of going in, right? And then there's something being draped around it. Obviously it's just one piece dress, but it looks like something is peeking out from under it, right? So having something like this, maybe with the straps going in as a halter top in a different color, in a blue color, or something like this that's very delicate and has some airy quality to it, combined with something not this long or even structured, that don't even look at the bottom, but just the quality of the material, the way it's standing up. It would be interesting to use this type of material maybe with some pastel colors, you know, the baby blues, baby pinks and stuff like that, to construct this type of thing around her that would look very similar to the original. It could also look like this, right? But I think that having that other material in a different color would be better than something that's so tooly. I also thought that this type of makeup that's kind of pink but also has some blue in it, some sparkles, would be really interesting for Bloom. And once again, the same collection that I've showed you for Flora, just look at this. Wouldn't this be perfect for Bloom? It's just so pretty. And also this one, in terms of the colors, I think it is fantastic. Just look at it. The colors are just so Bloom. I love it. And the top, the neckline and everything, it's really cute. I also thought that it would be interesting to maybe incorporate some hearts and sparkly hearts for Bloom, because that's literally her symbol that she usually gets in her transformations and her little details, you know, the heart thing. Okay, two more. Musa. So her outfit also really great for Magic Wings and for Enchantix. So with Musa again, we have this thing with the go-go boots that go up just to the knee, but as I said before, I would be casting a vote to have longer ones. So this one's from Dior, I think, would also have this nice parallel with Stella having the same type of shoes but in different colors. Also this type of material or this type of material, obviously again both are Versace. A lot of Versace today, you've been warned. But having this type of material and making her outfit out of that would be absolutely fantastic. I also have a couple of wings for her. Obviously this shape is not right. I think that this shape is more correct for her, but I would definitely have it lower and maybe the angle a little bit down, you know. It's too perky. It's too vertical. Having some headphones, obviously. I don't know what kind of headphones I would want for her transformation, but I think that it would be difficult to do to have it look good, but I think that it is still possible. I think it's an important detail for Musa's outfit to just ignore it. So suggest something in the comments. I want to see what you guys think, how to make it actually look good. having something on her arm. She has like a little bit of like some kind of purple thing tied around it. I think that it would be interesting to have something that looks maybe like music key sign. This is not exactly what I mean, but it's kind of close to it. I also used this as an example, but you know what? They're too short. This is too short. It's definitely not long enough to be Musa's boots. Enchantix. Musa has really interesting thing going on with her Enchantix. She has these, I thought it was a skirt, okay, at first. And it's not a skirt, it's Elizabethan minstrel shorts, alright? Even though they're shorts and this is what they can look like, I'm not doing this, okay? This is not happening. We're doing it as a skirt, or if it's shorts, it's just gonna look like a bit of a puffy skirt that kind of curls in like that. What I mean by the shape is maybe something like this, maybe a little bit smaller. Actually, I don't know, but this type of shape, I would do it in the material that have been created by Iris van Herpen. This is the material that I'm talking about. This picture is just really nice, but I would go with this coloring with red, and the reason why is because to me it looks like sound waves. I think it would be really cool to see something like this on her, like this skirt that's made out of this type of material. And let me show you the way that it moves. I need to go to my Pinterest because I couldn't add the video into my app. I would definitely go for that material because it looks magical without any interference of CGI or anything like that. I told you that a lot of things could be done with practical effects, or at least made to look really beautiful. So look at this. Isn't that insane? It looks like bouncing sound waves. And this is what I would definitely do for Musa. I think that it would look absolutely fantastic. That's for the skirt, right? So then obviously we've got she's got a lot of little pieces of material kind of falling off of her, and the way that I would kind of drape that material would be similar to this Bloomerang collection where they had some pieces, curly pieces of material hanging off. It looks pretty good. I think that that's what I would go for Musa from her clothes, weave it through. Also, I thought that for the gloves and such, I've already said that I would want to consider this type of glove or this type of accessory, so I added it here as well because it would be interesting to consider it as well from Musa. And also I've added this obviously here because I wanted to show the shoes, because this is, again, she has the red short lacing going on. I would do lacing all the way up, and I would do it in this manner, this color. Obviously some ponytails, high ponies. I used a picture of Jenny again because it looks great and the shape is perfect for Musa. She has a little bit, like a little tiara as well. I'll probably just place like a little tiara in her hair as well. To compare to all the other girls, her makeup is quite natural looking in terms of not having any color that's bright on her lids. She still obviously has makeup on, just like this girl that I'm showing you right now, but it's more of a natural kind of look that doesn't use a lot of colors. Aisha, Magic Winx. This outfit was just such a vibe when we were little. Do you remember how everyone was like going crazy over the way that she has this hoops that kind of connect her skirt or whatever? That was so cool, and her wings were really cool, and her hair was really cool. Ugh, I love her. She's just such a good character. So I've got some wings for her. I would definitely go for maybe a little bit more of a jagged kind of look at the end. Not jagged, I don't even know what to call it, but there's more of a zigzag kind of on the edges rather than just a very smooth line at the end. And once again, go-go boots, Versace go-go boots, because this is a perfect color even for her. Of course I'm gonna show you that. Using this type of material that's very sparkly, very beautiful, very rich with a lot of different colors just like popping out at you, but also thinking about the way that you drape it around, having a hoop that you can pull something through and like wrap it around her. It would be really cool to have something like that going for Aisha, like something like this, right? Not in the color. I told you that the material would have to be sparkly and the one that I showed you previously, but it's good to think about the draping as well and the way that it could be wrapped around her, because that was one of the big selling points of her outfit, having some hoops on her arms as well, because she had those everywhere, but they would have to be silver, having some piercings on her ear that are silver as well. And now onto her Enchantix. She was the first one to get her Enchantix. Her hair also looked so great. I remember when I saw the new hairs for everyone, I was just like, ugh, this is so, I want my hair to be this long and beautiful. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so in her outfit, there's a lot of green, there's a lot of pink and yellow. This is her wings. Obviously, you would have to imagine the wings being more like shaped like this, because once again, it's going to be custom made instead of me finding just something similar. So I'm going to show you that. See, once again, making something that would be easier to CGI onto and something that would look pretty good good anyway. Something like this as well, where it's green, it's a little bit blue, and it's a little bit pink. For her main piece, her main clothes, not this specific thing, especially don't look at the skirt, but I just like the idea of making this type of thing, this type of leaves that look kind of like underwater leaves, and making an outfit out of that would be really good. Also having some yellow straps going all the way up her leg would look fantastic. And I also thought that these types of piercings would look really good on her. A lot of incorporating kind of gold with the yellow that she has in her outfit. I think it would be really pretty. Having this type of, that's a different idea for the draping as well. Top could be made with those, you know, kind of like leaf look, underwater Flora kind of vibes, you know. And then this could be done for the skirt, for example, but make it shorter. Use a lot of this type of draping to create the skirt. Also, she has a tiara as well because she's a princess. Obviously, it needs to be one of those that kind of on your forehead, the one that kind of dips on your head, because that's the one that she has. Have a bit of a pink stone in there because that's the one that she has as well. A little bit of yellow makeup on her eyelids. I thought this looked very ethereal and pretty, but I'm not married to this. This could be a lot more brighter and a lot more in your face like it is in the cartoon as well, but I just thought that this was a really nice picture to reference anyway. And also the hair, I just thought that having two colors would be really nice. In the original, I think that the lighter pieces had a bit more of a pinkish undertone, but also the darker parts were more burgundy, so I think that that would be also cool to have this type of hair but dyed in a different way. Would be just so pretty. Yeah, this is what I've got for you today for my version of Magic Winx and Enchantix for Winx having some filters, CGIing things on top of things. Anyway, this is what I've got for today. I'm really excited to be talking about Winx again because this aesthetic is my favorite aesthetic. I'm always excited to have something new to talk about them. Let me know what you think, and also I'm gonna leave a test in the description. Tell me which Winx girl you're gonna get. I got Stella. See you next time. Bye.